Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And I thought it would be a good idea to shoot a quick video, well maybe quick, no it probably won't be as quick as I think it's going to be, but I wanted to shoot a video about how to research health related things such as finding out the best medicinal herbs for you, what you need for whatever type of illness you may be trying to get over, whatever kind of big pharma drugs you're trying to get off of, and how to go about doing that. Because I realize that for a lot of people this may seem like a really huge task. And in the process of the many years that I've had internet and I've been able to really start looking up things right there at my fingertips, I had to learn this whole process of how to look things up, because some things are simple, but some things can be a little more tricky, and also knowing where to go and what kind of sites you can trust. I've had to learn a lot of this along the way. And so I just want to share with you how I've done it, what resources I use, what I have, some recommendations, and then again, of course, the best way to go about looking up these things. So first off, I do want to start with, it is incredibly important that you always have some type of hard copies on hand. And I've shared some of the different herbal books that I have many times, but I'll go ahead and share them with you again. I have the Prepper's Natural Medicine, and this is just a very simple book. This is probably the least expensive one you're going to find, and I highly recommend it the way it's written out. It's very easy to read and understand, and this is by Kat Ellis. I really like this one. Another of my very favorites at the top of my list is Rosemary Gladstar's Medicinal Herbs, and then she also has one on herbal recipes. But if you were really trying to be picky, I would say get this one first and then put this one off, because she already has quite a few recipes in this one, and this is a very good basics for beginners, and it has wonderful photographs all the way through, very just real beautifully put together. Whereas this one's a lot more simple, but then again you're not paying as much for it. But then it is a good idea to have this. I haven't used this very often because I usually just make up my own recipes, but having her recipes to kind of use as a guide has been helpful to me. And those are the few I recommend right off the top as far as herbal books. I'm still waiting for Amy Fuel's book to come in. It's going to be any day now. I did a pre-order on her book. I think it's going to be an awesome book, and I'll definitely be doing a review of it as soon as it comes in. So I did the pre-order on that. Now all of these books that I'm talking about, even Amy's book, I'll go ahead and link to those below, and so you can check those out. And again, if you go through anything that you purchase through our Amazon links just helps give us a little bit of boost right there, and you don't pay any extra. However, if you can find any of these things for a better price locally, go for it. A lot of this kind of stuff for us, because where we're located, it is just easier and more likely to find online than to find locally, because we're so remote and pretty small town, and this kind of stuff is, you just don't find this kind of stuff that much locally. Now, a couple other books that I want to recommend would be like for us, because we live in the Pacific Northwest, this is a whole guide on plants in our area and what grows. It tells a lot about it. It gives you pictures. It shows a little map of where it grows most heavily along the coast, and then also talks about the medicinal benefits and things like that, what parts are used and so on. So find the one for your area. If you are already on the Pacific Northwest and you're interested in this book, I'll go ahead and link to this below. This is Washington, Oregon, Alaska, and British Columbia. So just a good one for our area, but see what you can find in your own area. And those are some hard copies I highly recommend. And then if you want to get a little more elaborate, there's this set of books here. It's two books. They're definitely more expensive. The best deal I got, I think, was about $100 a book, and they can go on up from there. So if that link is still available that I got them from, it might have been more. I don't recall now what I paid. Maybe it was $60 a book, or maybe it was more. But whatever it was the best price I could find on each of these books. And these are very, very thorough. They have everything you can find in here. Another book, and this is a little bit of a side issue, but not really, but according to what I'm talking about, this one I don't think is in print any longer. However, you can find this used on Amazon for a really good price. I have the hardback. I prefer hardback if I can get it, just because I think they're more durable. But I will link below to where you can see a list of on the Amazon where you can buy. You know, you can pick out what you want, you know, and how well used it is. Just remember, when it comes to books, this one I bought used. And I think the only thing in it was somebody's name right there. It's, other than that, the book is practically like brand new. But anyway, it's called What Your Doctor Doesn't Know About Nutritional Medicine May Be Killing You. And this was by Dr. Ray D. Strand, who is just a typical medical practitioner for many, many years, until he started realizing there was something broken in the medical community and started learning about actually taking his own time to learn about nutritional medicine. Those are the doctors you can trust most, the ones that finally wake up to the fact that what they've been taught in medical school is really backwards, because they're taught how to deal drugs, not how to actually make people healthy based on what they need nutritionally. And you know, a lot of our health problems come down to what we're lacking in nutrients, and gut problems caused from the toxins that we're being exposed to through the air, the water, the food, and different things like that. And so then we have to know how to deal with these different things. So as far as some hard copies, there's a few to start with, but there's so many more good books, and you can just do a search for those. Now, the main thing I wanted to talk about, well, how do you do a search? How do you look up information? How you look things up is going to be dependent on what exactly are you looking for. There's several different ways to go about this. So let's say you're trying to build a medicinal garden like I have, and you're trying to find herbs that are good for various different things. How you want to go about this is, it's as simple as this. You just type into your browser, put in there herbs good for, or herbs beneficial for, and then list whatever it is. Colds, flus, headaches, or just pain in general. Anything like that, look those up. Or even if it's a more serious illness like hypothyroidism or whatever, go ahead and type that into your browser, and then look at that first page of hits, but don't stop there. Then the next thing you want to do is, once you get that page opened up and you see all your different hits, that's the list of different links. Pay close attention to the web pages and what type of page it is. You want to really stay away from anything that you know is big pharma funded. Now, once you click on it and open it up, you'll know for sure if it is. Usually right off the bat, if it's big pharma funded, you'll see a lot of ads for big pharma drugs. And they also have a tendency right off the bat to downplay any medicinal herbs and their benefits. And then talk about how it's really important you get to a doctor, and then they'll give all the warnings and da-da-da-da-da. However, and there's nothing wrong with reading those. I think it's a good idea to be well-rounded. Then take that and compare it to some other web pages, especially ones that you start to learn to trust, and what they have to say. And what you're gonna find when it comes to herbs is, yes, there can be some warnings, there can be some indications. Most importantly, when it comes to medicinal herbs, what you have to look out for is, if you're on prescription drugs, then certain medicinal herbs you do not want to mix with that. Or if you're pregnant, those are the top two things you have to watch out for. Certain herbs you want to stay away from if you're pregnant, because they can cause the uterus to start contracting, and you're obviously not going to want that to start happening too soon. And just some things like that. and then of course the interactions with big pharma drugs. Now, also pay attention to if there's a possibility that any of the medicinal herbs could have interactions with each other that would be negative. Honestly, that's not something I tend to pay attention to a whole lot, because I will make herbal teas and tinctures and syrups and stuff, and I just mix a bunch of stuff together that I know is good for whatever it is I'm trying to make a tincture or syrup or extract for, and I've never had any issues, but it is still important to pay attention to that. And so I want to bring that to your attention, because there can be some interactions with some herbs, but in my personal opinion and from what I've seen, I don't think it's something you have to be as worried about. I think it's actually kind of rare. The big issue is what chemical drugs are you taking, man-made drugs, and if you're pregnant. Those are the two biggies. So then start cross-referencing your information, because if you come across a page, just say one you've never seen before, and it looks like just a random person like me. I have a blog page where I talk about the medicinal uses of different things, and this is based on what I've learned. Then start cross-referencing those with others. Don't just stick to that one and trust it. Start looking at what are other people saying. Or is this page saying the exact same words that this one's saying? Because if that's the case, then one of these web pages has simply copied and pasted information over there so that they could get hits and make money off of somebody else's work. So you got to be very careful about that too, because it doesn't mean it's backing up what was said over here. It just means somebody's copying it. That's all it means. So again, cross-reference everything. Find a good reputable source that you can go to, and you'll know as you get to searching these different things. A few of the ones that I really trust are like herbwisdom.com, livestrong.com, I think. Wellness Mama, she has a lot of really good herb profiles on her. She just has an awesome webpage, and I highly recommend you check her out, because she has everything in there, from good healthy food recipes, makeup recipes, sunscreen recipes, and then herb profiles, and just her views on certain things like silicone, should you bake with it or not. A lot of good information in there, and I've learned quite a bit from her. And then another big one that I really trust when it comes to a web page is Dr. Josh Axe. He has a lot of, and it's just draxe.com, I believe, and he has a lot of good information on herbs, remedies for different illnesses and stuff like that. And so those are some of my most trusted pages when it comes to looking stuff up. Again, hard copies are really important, but it's not as often that I will turn to these if I can just pop down the computer and type something in and then see a whole bunch of different things that I can cross-reference really quickly. Obviously, doing it online is going to be the quickest thing, but you also have to be careful what sources you're going to. And the more you do it, the more you'll start to kind of get a feel for, okay, this one here is a joke, this person doesn't know what they're talking about, and this is a big pharma funded site. And so you'll be able to start figuring out as you look these things up. Then the other thing you're going to want to do is, once you have an idea, like, okay, these are the herbs I think I really want in my garden, then look at, let's say it's echinacea. You've decided, you found out echinacea is good for colds and flus. So now you're going to do a search on just echinacea. And this is how you're going to want to put it into your browser. Benefits of echinacea, or health benefits of echinacea. And then again, cross-reference all your links. And the reason you want to do both before maybe you really decide what exactly you want to put in your garden is that then when you go there, you may find, like I did after I got all these things planted, though I'm still happy I have them all and I would still recommend growing them all, that echinacea is not only good for colds and flus, but it has many other benefits, such as it used to be most known for being a good painkiller. Not the cold and flu thing was something that kind of came along later. That was more of a side note. It was its properties as being a good painkiller was what it used to be most well known for, and I thought that was really interesting. And so with that in mind, I have found that a lot of the herbs I grow, when I started growing feverfew, I grew it for the main purpose of having a good painkiller on hand. However, through the years of growing these herbs, I found out that many of the herbs I have out there already are good painkillers, so they're multifaceted. Most of the medicinal herbs you grow, you're going to find out, are multifaceted. However, I still think, so that's something to consider if you have limited space. Maybe you'll only want to grow just echinacea, not echinacea and feverfew. On the other hand, catnip, again, is another great one for pain and inflammation. I grow them all, and I'm still going to grow them all. I have no intentions of getting rid of any of them, and the reason for that is because different herbs also are going to work better for different people. So one person may respond better to the feverfew, while another person's going to respond better to the echinacea, and another may respond better to marshmallow, and another may respond better to the catnip, and that's just for pain. And so I still recommend growing them all. And I'll be doing a video soon also about the top 5 or 10, maybe even 15 herbs that I recommend that you put in your garden, because I get that question asked of me quite a bit, and usually when I start listing stuff off, there's a couple of real big ones I always forget to list in there. So I want to do a video that's more just on that, and I can get all of them in there, starting with the top 5 and then the next 5 and then the next 5 from there, and we'll see how that goes. All right, so then another way that you're going to want to look up things to know when you're dealing with a specific illness, for example. So for me, before I took Mr. Rain and I off of our thyroid medications, which we've been off for 6 years now, how I started is I decided that before I really started weaning ourselves off, I better find out what nutrients do we really need in our diet to give our thyroid a boost to help it do what it needs to do. So I looked up, nutrients or foods good for thyroid or low thyroid or hypothyroidism. I say start by looking up nutrients for ... whatever the illness is, or nutrients to help with, you can throw that in. Try a few different search phrases, because what you're going to find is you might pull up a few different links with one search phrase than you did the other. So don't give up on just one, or don't just stop there. Try different ways of wording things when you're doing your search, because I have found that sometimes when I've looked things up, and this doesn't even have to be health related, but back when I was teaching, the ballet classes, and we were doing all these shows, and I was trying to find a specific color of fabric or print of fabric to make costumes with or whatever, I would have to sometimes type things in 5, 10 different times in different ways before I finally found exactly what I was looking for. But I found it. It just took a long time. So I got a lot of practice looking things up, having my dance school, I tell you that. So once you find out the nutrients that your body needs to help it fight whatever illness or counteract that illness, or to build up and strengthen whatever it is that needs that, then what you want to do, don't go, oh, okay, well, I'm going to go, I need more selenium, or I need more B complex, or I need more calcium. Don't run to the store and start purchasing a bunch of man-made supplements. I'm not saying they are all bad. I think to a degree some of them can have their place, especially considering your needs, because I was always one for many years to take supplements, but along the way I learned a lot about supplements and what to be careful of. And so when we first went off the thyroid medications, I did start supplementing a few things, like I think it's L-tyrosine, it's an amino acid, selenium, and a couple of other things, vitamin D and a couple other things, just to make sure we were getting plenty as I was learning more about what foods are high in that. And that's what I want to get to, is that the next step you need to do is then look up, once you know what nutrients your body needs the most, look up what foods are high in. So I needed more selenium for my thyroid, so I look up foods high in selenium, and then it's going to pull up Brazil nuts, it's going to pull up eggs and different things like that. And then again, don't forget to cross-reference the different web pages and see what they say. You want to look for the things that are the same, but also see if you can find some things that are different, because it's just like medicinal herbs. When you're looking these up, you're going to find that each web page, you know, even in the reputable ones, some are going to focus more on just maybe 4 or 5 of the things, or maybe the 4 or 5 top things, but maybe this place finds these other 4 or 5 things a little more important than these. So cross-reference them all and make sure that you can find them in several different places, all those benefits. And then you're going to find web pages that have every kind imaginable. You might find that it has 50 different benefits. Now, that can be questionable. I believe that an herb can have that many different benefits. But if you only find one page that lists that many, and some of them seem a little off the wall, it may or may not be true. Focus mostly on the ones that you see that are the same all the way across the board, that you can find repeated again and again and again. You know, such as feverfew, the 2 top things it's good for or 3 top things it's good for is pain, inflammation, and helping with digestion. So those are the top 3 when it comes to the feverfew. And then you'll find this repeated thing in each herb that you look up. So anyway, back to the food. So foods rich in or foods high in whatever it is the nutrient is you want. And then look at all those foods. You're going to come across some that you really don't like, or maybe you're a vegan or you're gluten-free, and so some of those are clearly not going to fit into your diet, but you'll have a good list of many others that you can choose from, and you can learn how to incorporate all these different things. And where you're going to find most of it in a lot of these nutrients are going to be in your fruits, or actually it's going to be in your vegetables, number 1, and in your fruits. But there are a lot of animal-based products that are high in things that you're not going to find as prolific in your plant-based kingdom. So if you're a vegan, you're going to want to really do some deep research into your different herbs, different vegetables and stuff that have all those, because they can be found. I'm not saying they can't. They can be found. It's just that there's certain ones, such as selenium is one of them, vitamin D is another one. You're not going to find those as readily in plants as you will in certain animal-based products. A lot of people think you can't get much protein from vegetables. Well, that's just simply not true, because there are a lot of vegetables out there that are very high in protein. And I'm not just talking about beans, I'm talking about greens, such as nettle and kale and things like that have quite a bit of protein. And I had read at one time, I'm not positive this is true because I need to double check it, but I had read or heard at one time that nettle is higher in protein per ounce than meat. So again, don't take my word for it. If you get a chance, look that one up yourself. Oh, there was one more thing I want to mention when it comes to learning about health and herbs and foods and their different, how they work in your body. Another thing that's really good to learn about that I'm still kind of picking at it here and there to learn when I have time, which is so difficult sometimes, and that is herbal actions. So the actions of the different herbs. What that means is it a vulnerary? Is it anti-inflammatory? Is it is it an analgesic? Is it styptic? And there's this very, very, very long list of actions that these different herbs can have. And if you can memorize these, it's gonna become easier for you to understand. So when you're looking in a book like this, that's going to give the actions of the herbs. Then you can just see that right away and go, oh, okay, then I know this is going to be good for soothing a sore throat, or helping with my migraine, or taking the swelling down in my sprained ankle. And so those are things that I recommend you learn, even though I am not well versed in all this. I read it and then I don't retain it all right away, but you have to keep going back and reading it, keep going back and learning about the different herbs, and each time I do, and then actually put it into action. That's the other thing that's going to help you memorize, is put it into action. So, such as the day that I got stung by a bee, and it was actually by a yellow jacket. I'm standing out in the garden, and I'm looking around going, I know I have something out here that's good for this, but had never used anything for a bee sting before. And I looked, the first thing my eyes fell on were the plantain. Plantain, there we go. Grabbed a leaf of it, chewed it up, stuck it on the bee sting, and on the wasp sting, and within 2 minutes, the pain went away and didn't even leave a mark. And so now that sticks in my memory. I know that plantain is excellent for bee and wasp stings. I'll never forget that because I used it right away. So a lot of times if somebody out of the blue might ask me, well, what should I put on a bee sting? And I might be, until that happened, I'd be going, oh, I know there's something, because I've read about it, like maybe Yarrow, which is another good one. But I've used Yarrow on certain other things before, and Yarrow is excellent. It's got styptic properties. It's excellent for skin-related stuff. But the plantain, I know for sure, worked immediately on the bee sting. So again, put these things into practice. And as I always say in my videos, it's going to be, no matter what it is that you're doing, whether it be a recipe I'm making that you're going to eat, or some kind of makeup thing that I'm showing you how to use, or using eggshells in your diet, or whatever, everything is going to be very individual, and you have to find what works for you, because we're all individually very, very different in the way that we're made up, and what's going to work for us, or even what we can handle. Because some people maybe can't stand the idea of taking eggshells. That might just really gross them out. Well, there's other things that you can do to get more calcium and magnesium in your diet, or whatever. So don't just stop here. And that's why I want to share this information with you about looking things up, is you got to cross-reference everything and listen to as many different sources as you can. I talk a lot about Dr. Josh Axe and Dr. John Bergman, and there's another one out there that I keep forgetting to look up that people told me about, was Dr. Berg. I've heard a lot of good things. I need to look that one up too, and I hope I remember to do that today, and most likely I won't, because I got to get busy on another skirt. But anyway, find different sources that you feel you can trust, especially if you've heard someone else say, this person has some really excellent information. For me, I stumbled upon Dr. Bergman looking something else up, and the more I listened to him, the more I knew I was hearing exactly what I've been looking for a couple of years, actually, and he was saying things that I knew in my gut had to be right, but I couldn't find anyone else saying it, and that's why I just hit right on that one, because it was perfect. Anyway, so I hope you find this helpful. I feel like there's more that I wanted to say about this, but go ahead and if there's something I'm leaving out and I forgot, go ahead and ask some questions, and I will try to do a follow-up video on this if I feel it needs to be done. Especially if I'm getting a lot of the same question over and over, then that's going to make me say, okay, I need to put another video out there to let people know this. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something new, and that helps get you in the right direction of learning more about health, how to take care of yourself, and taking your healthcare into your own hands. So thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.